you try and gain as much information about that fish. Like, big fish are creatures of habit. Like, they were big beds of Canadian, like to the surface, thick, and they were using it a lot. And I saw these two big fish show off the back of the weed. Well, I might as well tell you the story now. I'm that far into it. But basically, I came to the conclusion...
Don't want to give too much away, but here's everything.
Yeah. I don't want to give too much away, but I might as well tell you a story. Ash had put the drone up to go and film these fish, to go in with the chat that I was doing about these fish. Came back to the swim, clocked these few fish on the surface. One of them turned out to be the big one. We actually see it drop down on one of my spots. I don't want to keep sick of saying this, but I don't want to give too much away. But
here it all comes.
I know when you did the underwater, they wasn't overly keen on the bright ones, was they?
No.
I tied two of them up the evening before I caught the big one, basically solely based on the fact.
The Thinking Tackle Podcast.
That is a legitimate showing of being scared, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, at least mine, I hit it quite well. I wasn't actually.
What?
You actually admitted you were scared.
Of what?
You know what?
People.
I'm not going to say it out loud because it's recorded now.
No,
but
you
pretend
you've pretended that you weren't getting scared, and I've just said I respect the guys up there, but I don't want to ruin it, and it's for myself as well. Really,
I could see the fear. So could Damo. Anyway, we're going to start. Welcome everybody to the Thinking Tackle Uncut podcast. As you can see, Spooner is not here again. This is getting mental now.
It's much better without him.
Well, I don't see the point in having him. We might as well just replace him permanently.
Everyone's realising how much he fishes.
Yeah.
He pretends he fishes not a lot.
Is this one of family holiday or fishing?
I think it's the same. Both. I think.
Both again.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he's in a place in Devon. Is he like a little log cabin with his family and doing a bit of fishing?
That old Chezza.
Yeah.
I'll do you a little story post. Any chance?
Any chance of a shed?
Yeah. Right, first of all, I think we better do, even though he's not here, we do the Spooners 50 prize. We've had 3 entries come in since we last spoke. All really, really nice carp. We have already chosen a winner, I'm afraid. It was quite an easy one this week. It's an outstanding carp. But first of all, we've got Josh Marchant, who's had a 53-pounder from Elfix. It's a right old slabber carp, that.
Cracking bit of fish.
So well done, Josh. Really nice carp, that. And then next up, we've got Alan Dean, who's had a 50-pounder at a bluebell. Quite a funny picture, this. He can only just hold it, Alan. It's a monster, but look at that.
Quite a nice carp.
Yeah. It's a really nice carp. Lovely colour, aren't they? Does anyone fish there, bluebell? Lovely.
No, Daryl fished there a bit, didn't he?
Yeah. Lovely clear water, isn't it? Like, the fish are really nice.
Yeah.
Not done much time on there.
No, we fished. Didn't we? Is there another one on there called Heron or something? No,
not sure.
Or another. No, it's not Heron. There's another lake on there. We fished one of the carp caddies on there years ago, but I've never fished that main lake.
All right. Well, the winner. This was really easy this week, and I do apologise to the other guys because you were really up against it. Gary Atkin has caught the saddleback lint at 51 pound. I mean, you're not.
It's a bit you, Tom, isn't it?
That's a great carp.
Yeah.
Can't get on there though, can you? It's dead man's shoes.
Yeah,
really?
It's hard to get on.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's ridiculous.
It's crazy.
Isn't it?
I always think it's a bit weird. It always looks like it's looking up for a mixer, doesn't it? It's
a
funny old shaped carp.
Can you remember the Lower Maynard Common?
Yeah.
That had it was exactly the same shape as that, big sort of proper dip in its back, and it looked like its head had been stuck on slightly looking upwards.
What do you think? That's from birth?
I guess so. Yeah. You think it's got a crook in its neck?
60 pounds in there, isn't it?
Something like that. Yeah. A lot of big carp in there.
Well done, Gary. You have got yourself a Spooner's
50
mate. Cup. That's a hell of a
carp.
Have some nice brews in that and look back on that capture, I'm sure.
Piss steak, that is.
Yeah, lovely carp. Well, that's that. And now I suppose we better introduce our guest, which is Mr. Tom Stokes.
Good morning, Jeff.
Man of the moment.
Man of the moment. He certainly is. Now, Underwater has recently gone out, and obviously Tom featured in that heavily, so we're going to talk lots about that. But first of all, we thought we'd just pick Tom's brains a little bit about his very impressive capture of the Lord of the Manor, the big fully. What a carp, Tom.
Great carp, mate. Absolutely great carp.
Now, what I thought I'd just, pick your brains a little bit about was, obviously you set out to catch this carp for a film and you had 2 weeks, I believe?
I had 3 weeks, 3 5-day trips planned, which obviously I was very fortunate to have. Had the lake to myself. They were actually 3 of Daryl's trips that he had booked for himself prior to him catching it, and then he offered them to me, and I basically came to an agreement with Daryl Scott from Carp Fix that I'd have 3 of those weeks. He actually had 5, but I picked 3 of them where I could sort of have a bit of a campaign and we'd make a film out of it. And I was very fortunate to catch it on the second night of the second trip.
Mega.
Blimey. So do you pick the weeks that were like a week apart or 2 weeks apart?
Yes. So Darryl being Darryl, had picked 5 weeks all over moon phases because it's renowned for coming out over the moon phases. The first 2 trips, but they were like trips. You had 5 nights, then you'd be away for 9, then you'd be back for 5.
So it's new moon, full moon, new moon, full moon.
Exactly that. And the first 2 were very close to spawning. So I gave those ones up in favour of that sort of end of June, early July period, where I thought spawning's going to be well out of the way, the fish are going to be hungry. It's a great time of year for catching carp. You put a bit of bait out, they generally eat it as long as you put it in the right place. So I picked those 3 weeks, and it turned out to be a good decision.
Yeah, no, it's mad to think that we were panicking. We're panicking now. Yeah. We were panicking in April or May when we were going to film the underwater that it was going to get caught before we went, but it still hadn't been caught before you went in July.
Well, that's it. When I turned up the last week of June for my first trip. And Justin, who owns the lake, had told me that by that point the previous year it had done 6 captures, that carp had, yet this year it hadn't been caught once.
It's pretty bad. One thing I thought it might be interesting for people to know, Tom, is that's obviously quite an unusual situation to get a lake to yourself for 3 weeks. Obviously you're saying you're doing 2 and then the 1. You're obviously somebody that targets individual carp quite a lot. How do you go about targeting a carp with a little small window like that? What can you sort of tell people that you did to try and put everything in your favour, or did you just go fishing and hope you catch it?
Obviously there's certain things you can do. Obviously Darryl picking the weeks around the moon phases is the first one. That carp is renowned for getting caught around moon phases, so that makes an obvious choice to pick those weeks. But other than that, I started off fishing the middle of the lake. You try and gain as much information about that fish. Like, big fish are creatures of habit. You try and gain as much information about that fish before you go, which I did. I was fortunate to go there for a couple of days with Damo when we did the underwater. I gained a bit of knowledge there, and everything I'd heard, although it does get caught all around the lake, most of its captures generally come from the middle of the pond. It's a bait fish, it likes bait, and it likes to come from the middle. The swim I started in, the grassy knoll, it had done 2 captures in June last year, and they were both from the grassy knoll, which is like centre of the pond, so that's where I started.
It's the most comfortable swim as well.
It's a great swim, great, lovely grassy swim, looking out to the middle of the lake.
And is that like a known spot that everyone would be fishing out of that swim?
There was known spots in there, but it was very weedy. From what I could gather, it's weedier than it has been in previous years. And I actually raked a spot a little bit further out than what the sort of fished spots were, more in the centre, just so I could fish more out towards the middle of the pond. Started off in there. Seemed a good starting point, like I said. Obviously, I was very privileged, to have the lake to myself. It's those opportunities don't come around very often. In fact, I'll probably never get that opportunity again. But I had the lake to myself, so I had the opportunity to move on to whatever I could see. Obviously, I thought if I get a lot of bait in, more bait's the only bait in the pond, and those fish are hungry, so surely at some point they could come to me. But I was still watching the lake, and it was, observing what was going on. I mean, you can only really target a big one specifically if you see it in close. If you see a fish in close feeding, you can but when you're fishing out in the pond, you are just fishing for bites, but you can still put yourself in the best position possible to try and get that big one. But what became apparent after a couple of nights, I mean, it was obvious from the off. There was weed all around the lake, bits of surface weed here, there and everywhere, but in front of the car park swim, it was by far the weediest area of the lake. And at this time of year, midsummer, pretty much every lake I've ever fished, and I'm sure all you boys have seen the same, wherever is the weediest part of the lake, the carp will use that area of the lake more than anywhere else. They love the cover, it holds a lot of natural food, and the carp part was the weediest area, and it became apparent they were loving that area of the lake. And although I didn't see the big one over there, one morning I sat in the grassy knoll and I saw, it was actually my second morning on the lake, and obviously there's a lot of carp in there. You see a lot of shows every morning, but these 2 carp showed. It might have been the same carp showed twice. It might not have been, but there were 2 very big fish showed.
Is that right down in the shallow area?
So
or is it on the edge?
The car park swim is basically the main car park. The main sort of car park.
But there's 2. Oh no, the first one. Okay, you're talking about the other end.
No, so the main car park.
The opposite end to the shallow end.
The opposite end. Yeah. So the shallow end's up to your left.
Yeah.
And you got that bank where he's raised the bank.
Yeah.
The opposite end to that.
Okay.
Like where
so the weed's got up there, is it?
Yeah, it's choked in that corner.
Right. I thought you were saying that the weed was where the shallow end, where the weed was up when we were there.
No.
It's got up in that corner.
Yeah.
So it's to the left of where we were filming.
Yeah.
To the left of where we were filming,
Yeah.
Like, do you know the car park that me and you
yeah.
sort of slept in when we did the underwater? In front of that car park, the rest of the lake had weed, but it was different in that car. It was like they were big beds of Canadian, like to the surface, thick, and they were using it a lot. And I saw these 2 big fish show off the back of the weed. Like I say, I'm not saying it was the big one, but there's like three, maybe 4 40-pounders in there, and there was definitely 1 or a couple of those showed off the back of this weed. And again, going off Daryl's capture of the big one last autumn, he caught. I mean, I don't want to give too much away because obviously Daryl's got a film coming out, but he caught all them big ones together, and so they obviously like to hang around together. There's a lot of small ones, like I say, in that lake, but I see these big ones over there. So I decided to go over there, went out in the boat. Very fortunate again at the minute that Justin is letting you use boats for everything other than casting. The lake's very weedy, and he doesn't want people losing leads and braid, trying to find spots in the weed. He doesn't really want everyone losing tackle in the weed.
Fair.
So there's 3 boats on site, and as long as you put a life jacket on, you can go out there, have a prod around, find an area to fish, drop some markers on it, go back to the bank, get all clipped up. You can even bait from the boat, and then you've just got to cast your rigs out. So I was fortunate in that sense. Went out in the boat, had a prod about, and I found a really firm area that was, it actually turned out to be a gravel hump, but it was covered in blanket weed. And so I raked the spot off. Again, something I learned from Darryl, because Darryl, I don't want to give too much away again, but Darryl actually raked a spot amongst the weed and caught it off this sort of fresh area. A spot like that is always going to be an edge. It's a spot that no one else is fishing or has fished, and I think those freshly turned over areas, carp are inquisitive. If they see something all of a sudden that's been turned over, they're going to investigate. So I raked this spot off the back of the weed, filled it in, went back to the grassy knoll, and then the next morning they were jumping all over it, moved around there, did my last couple of nights in that swim, caught a load, went back, dropped back in that swim. Don't want to give. I might as well tell you the story now. I'm that far into it. But basically, I came to the conclusion.
Don't want to give too much away, but here's everything.
Yeah. I don't want to give too much away, but I might as well tell you a story. I ended up going back in that swim. I sort of came to the conclusion that they were all visiting that weed at some point throughout the day. I thought the big one, even though I hadn't seen the big one at that point, I thought the big one must be visiting. And then literally the day before I caught it, we actually had a chance sighting of it with the drone. I know that's to some will be a bit controversial, but it's not like we're looking for.
No, you're filming all of this.
Exactly, we're filming. We weren't looking for.
He
fish.
loves a drone.
I know.
He won't go without it.
I don't own a drone. But in a filming sense, I'd actually been talking about some fish further down the bank that I was potentially going to move on to. Ash had put the drone up to go and film these fish to go in with the chat that I was doing about these fish. Came back to the swim, clocked these few fish on the surface. One of them turned out to be the big one. We actually see it drop down on one of my spots, and obviously I wasn't going to move them. Anybody that might watch this and be like, "Oh, you used a drone." We didn't use a drone. It was a chance sighting. And I guarantee you now, any of you out there that are probably moaning about this, if you saw that big one drop down on your spot with a drone by chance, you ain't going to move, have you?
No.
Well
chance. No, 100%.
So
I don't think many people do moan about it anyway.
There's always one or two in there. The reason I
Only
say
one.
it is because it's not something I'd do, and it's probably I wouldn't say I'm against it, but it is just one of them things that comes with making fishing films these days, isn't it? You use a drone, and like I say, it's not like we were looking for that carp, and I was already fishing in that corner. It just swayed my decision to potentially move up the bank, and then the next morning I caught it.
It's great. Have you got the footage then of seeing it? Was it recorded?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I've not actually watched the film.
Oh, right, that would be good
but I'm pretty sure we recorded it.
Look at the size of it.
That's a cool shot as well.
It's
really
a great
cool
carp.
shot.
Even on that long lens, it looks massive, doesn't it?
Yeah, mega.
Massive carp.
Is it really impressive on the bank?
It is. Yeah. It is a really impressive carp. I mean, obviously, it was a little bit down in weight, which there's a story behind, but it still looked massive.
Yeah.
It's huge.
It's a funny old carp, because it's not actually that broad across the shoulders, but it's very long and deep in the body.
Yeah.
I think really big, deep commons and really big, scaly mirrors, there's something just obviously extra special about them. They just look, when they all flex, and they just look huge, don't they?
Are you going to go and try and get? Are you going to go and do the film where it's like half sort of Thinking Tackle, partly underwater? Because it was still. I still really want to be able to get the footage of that taking the bait, because I just think that's the most exciting moment ever.
I love that.
I was just thinking.
But go on.
No, I was just thinking when Tom was saying there about all the captures that have come out. It's known to come out. These open water areas twice, 3 times, 4 times. Having done an underwater there now, and obviously had a flash sighting of it, and obviously Tom, you've been on there and fished now. Do you think some of those areas that you were fishing like in close, do you feel like it could get caught from those areas still, or do you feel like it would only get caught out in the pond?
It does get caught close in, but from what I can gather, the more time I've spent there and the more people I've spoke to, obviously spring and autumn is the time to catch it out in the middle. Before those big weed beds come up, it's out in the middle a lot. I've seen that on a lot of other lakes as well. Like before that weed is up, middle of the pond is the place to fish. But obviously I'm there in July, early July this was. Once that weed's come up, wherever the weed comes up, they're going to be in, and it has done a lot of captures in the margins, close in. But if you sort of delve into those captures, they are generally around that sort of late June, July, August period where the weed is up and it's likely to come in. That would be the time of the year to do an underwater on there. The only problem is they've got the algae.
This is the problem. You always have the same problems with underwater filming. It's like the time of year in which they're feeding a lot, which is the time you should really do it, because you can put, like you've done, put loads of bait out and they'll eat it. You can't film because the water clarity is not there. So then you're stuck with a spring, and in the spring they're very nomadic. They don't really like you put 3 cameras in the middle of the lake and they just go to the edge, and then you do it in the edge and they go to the middle. It's just like and they're not, you can't entice them with a bait because they're more interested in warmth than they are the food. So it is really difficult. What you need to find is a lake that's super clear in the summer.
You get a lot more consistency in the summer, don't you? Because like if you could put those spots that I was catching them from in the car park, if you could have put a camera on each of them at this time of the year, you'd have action, like activity in front of the cameras consistently every day, because the carp are living around them. But like you say, in the spring they're nomadic, they're moving around depending on the weather, and they're not that into the food. That's the problem.
There's a lot of weed in the lake when we were there, wasn't there?
I think there's a chance of doing it with a small camera, like as you ended up essentially in the middle of the pond with a small camera, small amount of bait, probably at the end of May, beginning of June, just before spawning. If you chance it any earlier than that, you've got lovely clear water, but you haven't got the feed in, so it's difficult. But I think you could do it in a sort of Thinking Tackle style, not the big cameras, not big tent setup, and it's all too slow and big decisions instead of lots of small
where
little ones.
Damo ended up fishing out there in the middle, I reckon that's the zone you'd want to just flipping, sit out there, put a load of bait in front of the camera.
Yeah, we did that for a week though, and nothing in front of the camera. We stayed there for a week.
They were mowing it down out there.
They were. It was almost a shame to pack up. I think that would have been a good zone to catch it from. That would have been.
Maybe it's because it was a few weeks later.
And I think if you could fish at night, you'd get bites, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
We're so up against it with not being able to fish at night.
Yeah.
How many did you catch at night, Tom?
A few, not many, but funny, 1 o'clock in the morning. And generally, almost every night, I think, other than the first night I fished, I had something happen at 1 in the morning.
Right.
1 in the morning seemed to be a great time, but it was only like 1 bite a night.
Yeah.
And then obviously middle of the day seemed to be a really good time on the,
That's
and
nice,
it's hot and sunny as well. Still sun's up, bright sunshine, and then you just get like double. Like I had quite a few double takes off different spots in there.
Yeah.
Like they just switch on.
I think
Is it a wide gate?
It's a wide gate, yeah.
For those that are
I thought you might
listening,
be
we've
using straight points.
Well, look, this is it's a story here,
Don't want to give too much away.
but I might as well tell you. Yeah. So for the whole campaign, I used the straight points.
Yeah.
I used them either on the deck, shot on the hook, or with pop-ups. I was using them with pop-ups with D-rig kickers on the back, caught loads. Every carp bar the big one and one more were caught on the straight points on either pop-ups or on the deck with a shot on the hook, depending on the spots I was fishing. When I moved into the car park, obviously I rate these gravel spots, this gravel spot, and I caught a load on the straight points, fishing on the deck. But my last fish from the first trip weeded me up really, really bad. Like, to the point I went out in the boat and I've literally had to like grab hold of the leader, like and like pull this massive ball of weed into the net. Now, with those D-rig kickers, what I think had happened is because of the weed around the hook, it had pushed the D-rig kicker down and exposed the crook of the swivel. This is my theory in it, but anyway, the crook of the spinner swivel actually opened. I got the fish in the net, but as I've pulled it over the net, something's gone. Fish has powered into the bottom of the net, and the fish is still hooked, and the spinner had opened up, and I think that's because the D-rig kicker had probably pulled down, and I've never had that happen before. First time it's ever happened to me, and it was a very extreme situation. I've literally hand-lined this fish into the net. Gone back the following trip, put the same rigs out, and then saw the big one that day. The weed is savage, like surrounding the spots to the surface. Seen the big one that day, and then all of a sudden that like sort of anxiety sets in on it. I'm like,
I've got the right thing
there's a potential 60 pounder out there, and it's weedy, and I nearly lost one in the weed. So I was like, right, what can I do? So like those are actually the XX spinner swivels,
right? Yep.
The bigger ones.
Yep.
Oh, right.
So never used them before, but I just had some in my tackle box. They've got a slightly heavier gauge to the crook, haven't they?
Yep.
So I thought, right, I'm going to put one of them on. I wanted to use the shrink tube. I wanted to switch to a pop-up as well. Even though I'd been catching them on bottom baits, the gravel in that lake, as you've seen, is very large.
It's like coarse, isn't it?
Big gravel.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I've seen that big one, and even though I've been catching them on bottom baits, I'm thinking, God, what if it sits funny in amongst the gravel or something? So I thought, I'm going to put a pop-up on for two reasons. A, it guarantees presentation. And B, I've been catching a lot of doubles and low 20s, and I see a pop-up over bait is a bit more big fish selective. It's crude in it. So I thought, I'm going to go with a pop-up. It's guaranteed to be presented, and hopefully it's a bit more big fish selective. I put one of them XX spinner swivels on, just because it's a bit stronger. The shrink tubing, as opposed to the D-rig kicker, I think if you the shrink tubing, it like secures it, just adds a bit more strength once it shrink round. But those XX spinner swivels are slightly longer.
Yep.
So the only reason I put a wide gape on is to keep that pop-up lower to the deck.
Okay.
I mean, you're literally talking about 5 mil, but in my mind, I wanted that pop-up as low to the deck.
We've actually done, because Steve Alcott asked about a heavier loop for the spinner for fishing Burfield. So you got this size 11 swivel, but with a bigger, stronger loop, which will go on an XX hook.
Oh, right.
So they're coming. So I'll give you something.
Oh, yeah, no. But yeah, so basically, I tied that rig up. I tied two of them up the evening before I caught the big one, basically solely based on the fact that I'd seen the big one. I wanted a stronger possible rig. The hook link is £50 XT snag lead. I mean, that's strong as anything you're going to use. And like I said, the switch in the hook was solely down to keep that pop-up just as low to the deck, because it's a shorter shank. Yeah. It just made that pop up that little. I mean, you're talking millimetres, but in my mind, that could have been all different.
Well, you caught it, so you were right.
Was he nailed? Was it nailed?
It was actually caught in the scissors, but it was nailed. Yeah. Massive rubbery lips. It wasn't coming off.
No, good.
You meant business, didn't you, when you were putting it out? That's proper big fish, that.
Yeah, it is proper big fish.
Big old chunky setup.
And match the hatch?
Yeah, well, I say match the hatch. They're actually Nick Dunn's hook baits, Pilgrims, his caught balls. I use my mate Joe's fish meal, LTK, which is a brown fish meal, And Nick actually sent me some of them cork balls. They're basically, colour-wise, they're basically identical to my mates. So it's matched the hatch in terms of colour, and it's a fish meal cork, but there's obviously a slightly different flavour profile.
You know, so it's good when I'm getting messages saying don't speak about Stogelman.
Yeah.
Who's saying that then? People, your mates.
Probably him, because he's only 24 hours in a day. He's like, I can't do any more.
He does roll a good cork ball.
Yeah.
Do you tend to use sort of fish meal or match the hatchie style more in the summer than you do any other time of year, or
100%? You know, spring generally, like late autumn through the winter, spring up until they spawn. Really, I've always got an element of colour in my hook bait.
Yeah.
But I think in the summer, when you're feeding a lot of bait and they're eating a lot of bait and they've potentially been caught a few times already on something with colour. And I remember that, I was sick of saying this, but I don't want to give too much away, but
here it all comes.
I know when you did the underwater, they wasn't overly keen on the bright ones, was they?
No.
So, but yeah, match the hatch in the summer is great. I did use, when I was fishing on the deck, I was using like a bit of a snowman. But even then, it was like a washed out brown pop-up, half of a washed out brown pop-up on top of just a hardened bottom bait. So, you know, not really. So
I like it.
Tom,
very good.
Do you use the cranks?
Never use the crank. Do you know, I actually got some. I've got some in my tackle box, and I always look at them. I've never put one out.
Honestly, man, they are.
It was after
really
doing the
good.
underwater with you, and I thought they do look good. I got some, and they're still just sitting in the tackle box.
I find it really
as much it pains me to say it. But they are really, really good, especially for a pop-up.
I should give them a try, really.
Well, you seem like you're doing pretty well with the wide gapes, mate.
Yeah.
It would have been over 60 with a crank, probably, though.
Yeah, 100%.
You've had an error there.
£57. That's your new. How many 50-pounders have you caught then?
6 now.
6.
Wow.
It's very different to Spooner sitting there, isn't it?
It's almost like
$6.50.
totally different. Yeah.
I think we need to award him one of these.
Well, actually, we should give him one of them.
Well,
Is that what you've got?
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, thank you.
There you go.
That's the only reason I came today.
Well,
Definitely deserve that. Fantastic.
That's the only reason he went to go and catch us, to get one of them.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what he's been saying to everyone.
Brilliant. Right, well, moving on from that, obviously, if anyone wants to see that, it's obviously available to watch on Carp Fix, isn't it? It sounds like it's a mega film. Look forward to watching that at some point myself.
They've got that out quick, haven't they?
Yeah, they got quick.
Well, you ain't
Within
going to
a
watch
week.
that because you've got to pay for it.
Within a week, really.
Dropped Darryl a message.
I think, yeah, they got like a week turnaround on films.
That's
He's
crazy.
a grafter, Ashes, I tell you. Because out films it, edits it, it's out in a week.
Yeah, that's
Mega.
good.
Right, well, speaking of edits, as we speak now, as this podcast is out, both part 1 and 2 are going to be out from underwater Carp Atlantis.
Yep.
I'm going to save your section with Spooner.
Yep. So the first section is Dan and Stokesy mainly. A small amount of me and Spooner right at the end.
There is.
But yeah, there's some real ups and downs in that first one with Dan and Stokesy. It's hilarious, actually. I love watching it.
That's what I thought we'd start with. What I thought we'd put you on the spot a bit straight away, Stokesy. And first of all, because I bet loads of people want to know, what is it like to sit next to DF on an underwater?
Not as bad as it probably looks in the film. But yeah, he does get a bit stressed. But I mean, we get on, and I think because I'm so chilled out generally about it, like it's a good combination. But no, I do enjoy fishing with Dan. He has a very different way of thinking a lot of the time than I do, but
that's what makes it good, though, I think.
Yeah.
Because if you both thought the same, there would be no conversation really.
Yeah.
But I think it's great that you thought different things.
But yeah, it is tough at times because obviously, as you see in the film, Dan does feel the pressure. You know, I'm just there having a jolly up, really. Rods are out. But Dan thinks, obviously, you do want to catch them. It is stressful when they're turning you over, but it does get to Dan.
Yeah, on that, I will just say, I think Sean's editing of that particular part 1 with capturing Dan's emotion and Dan switching off in the tent and almost in his own little world, that little section where you can see Dan's just not with anybody in the tent. He's just thinking, and everyone's jabbering away in the background. I thought he put that together so well.
Mate, I watched it myself last night, And it almost brought a tear to my eye. I actually felt really sorry for Dan. Like, obviously I was there, but like, all of a sudden I felt really guilty.
Yeah, it is definitely different. I mean, it's even worse for Dan, but I had a little bit of a taste for it at the beginning part of the year when you're the one almost like not heading it up, but you're the one not even organising, because the lads organise everything, but the one making the main decisions. The pressure is different. You're sitting in the tent, feeling the weight of how much it all costs, the time of everyone being there, everything, and you're trying to, there's a million different decisions you could make, but you're trying to make the right ones for the film to go well and for you to catch as well. There's an awful lot there going through your mind, and it's obviously Dan's company as well at the same time, and he's, you know, an emotional sort of passionate guy, so all of them things together I think just are enough to break you, because you're sitting there for a lot of time as well.
Yeah.
You know, I really felt the pressure at the beginning part of this year at Thingy. It's not even the pressure, it's just stress. It's just stress of everything going on. And you could see it on Dan, you know, he was in tears by the end of it. And, you know, Dan wants to do really well himself at the same time. But luckily, sort of, Tom's saved that part of the shoot because he caught, you know, a number of lovely carp.
I think I know something me and you have talked about, Davy, about trying to capture more of what goes into some of these films. And I know some of the projects we've got in the future, we're going to try and shoot an element of that, because I think it would blow people's minds what goes into some of these shoots. The pre-production meetings, the meeting at the lake multiple times to check things out, the recceing up at lakes that don't even end up happening. Like if you could show that, I think people would have a lot more respect for what goes into it.
I only had a little tiny bit of it, but you know, I was there for 2 days, and we're laying there in the car park. I'm laying there looking at the stars, not sleeping. We're doing there. You start at 6, aren't you?
Yeah.
You're finishing at dark. You're packing up, trying to get something to eat, and then what the fuck am I going to do next?
It's mentally draining.
It is mentally draining, and you're just worn out from thinking about it. So to do 2 weeks,
and that's just the fishing, isn't it, as well? And you, like, even before you come, I'm sitting there thinking, right, that you've got 3 days of demo here. We never get to have you in front of the camera. We need a spot that's going to be good for you. So then we're trying to figure out where to put that spare camera, the one that you fished in the middle. And like, really, we should have fished that spot that you fished. But we're sitting there thinking, right, let's just try and get one more off of this marginal spot. Then you two can turn up and you've actually got spots that aren't already ruined.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And then you're thinking, you're going to turn up and you're going to go, there's no fish feeding on the spots. And like, it's like all of them sort of things you're trying to get right at the same time as thinking, right, if you can come and then, but not luckily, very well done that you caught the biggest one of the trip right at the end. And again, that saves the whole idea of the shoot. So then it's like pressure off at the end, but you don't know things are going to work out until they do you?
No, you don't. And you don't understand. It's difficult to explain to anybody that the pressure, you know, you've got a recast, something like a recast. If you cock it up, you're worried about scaring the fish, or you're like, because I recast like 3 times, I think, in a very short period of time. And it's like, well, if I don't, I'm not going to catch anything, you know, so you have to do it. And he's going like, yeah, we just need to be another inch past that time. You know, and it's just, it's high level stress. And if it's not our money, it's Dan's money, isn't it?
Yeah,
so
but
I can understand.
I treat it like it's mine though, and so do you. It's not even that, it's just we all work hard at these things, and you just want them all to go well. The most stressful decision for me was, which I think we probably made the wrong one in the end, was that we saw the big fully on the test camera in the edge, but the test camera had been put down at a bad angle, so you couldn't really see the bottom. You probably could have sort of captured it if you'd caught it like that, but we'd seen it, and then it's like, we've got to take that camera out and put the big camera in the spot, and in the back of your mind you just know that fish isn't going to come back after all that disturbance, but you sort of try and go there, scare him away, then put it in perfectly, because you're thinking, is it better to actually catch it, have a bigger chance of catching it, but not really capture it on the cameras very well, or know that it's there, try to put the good camera in, and if you do catch it, you've got it really well on film. And then it's like, we ended up putting the main camera in and we just never saw it again.
Hindsight.
So it's like, well, it's like maybe if we hadn't have done that and I literally just went around there with a small crew and underarmed something, we would have had a chance of it on camera. But then if I'd have caught it like that, would I have come back and everyone had gone, mate, you didn't really even get it on camera.
Like you say,
and then you're
hindsight.
It's so difficult.
I think because in that situation, had you have done that and caught it, it would have been great, brilliant film, not quite captured it. And then the whole time after that, you'd have thought, I would have caught it if I just switched the cameras out. We should have just switched the cameras out. It would have come back.
Yeah.
You never really know, do you?
No, you don't know. But either you've got to live with the decisions at the end. But there's a million decisions that week, and either way, we've got an amazing film there. Well, like we have with this one.
Yeah, well, coming back to Carp Lantis, I think for me, if I just a few questions I had as like a viewer, because obviously I wasn't there, I just watched it. There's probably 3 takeaways for me. First one was obviously just the emotion of Dan's investment into it. I thought it was amazing how that was captured. Secondly was the baiting strategy, which I loved. Your 2 little sort of bit, you bouncing from the office back, and that was great. So we'll talk about that. But first of all, I think one of my biggest takeaways was length of rig, Tom. Obviously, that was like a topical thing throughout the film. What did you sort of start with, so people that maybe have still got to watch it, or what was your thought process on what you started with, what you ended up with, and is that now something that you're using all the time?
So I started off...
Appreciate the 74 questions there, by the way. If you could do your best.
I started off with a 4.5-inch hook link. That's from like the loop by the swivel to the lead system. So when you obviously add the length of the swivel and the shank, you've probably got a 5-inch rig there. That's a setup that I'd used for the previous 12 months or so prior to the shoot. Caught loads on.
For those that are listening, by the way, we've got it up on the screen, Tom. That looks like everything we sell. Just put onto one rig.
That's what people say. Almost. They're doing it to sell more kit.
Yeah, it looks great. But go on, Tom, talk through it.
So I started off with 4.5-inch rig that I've caught loads on in the previous 12 months, and it did get done a couple of times. Now, I'm a lot more, like I've said before, I'm a lot more laid back than Dan. Even though I'd seen it get spat out a couple of times, I'd have happily left that rig on until I caught something. I'm sure I'd have caught something on it eventually, but Dan likes you to chop and change. Obviously, that is part of the whole point of doing the underwater, to learn. So I ended up taking an inch off the stiff section, which dropped the hook link down to 3.5 inches. So it was 2.5 inches of boom with 2 inches of boom with 1.5 inch supple section. And that's what I caught them on. To be fair, once I did that, I hooked a tench, and then I hooked 3 out of 4 carp pickups. So like, I think that was right. Yeah, 4 out of 5 pickups if you include the tench. So it did seem to make a difference. And since then, I have gone away and I have used it that short and caught loads. But at the same time, I have gone back to it being that long and caught loads.
I don't understand how it can make that much difference when that section is stiff.
Yeah. What do you mean?
Well,
Explain.
it's just like... It seems to me that the length of the rig would make a difference if it's not straight so much and stiff. Because like if say you've got 8 inches of braid and it sort of sits down to sort of 5 or 6 inches away from the lead, then you've got a few inches of play, if you like, haven't you? Whereas if that's 2 inches or it's 3 inches or 4 inches even, probably not if you go to extreme levels, but sort of around that distance, it all straightens it's all about straightening, isn't it? And how quickly you feel the lead. So that like the soft section would make the difference because that's the bit that moves into the mouth, but actually everything else is out straightened anyway. So I can't understand.
You've got a point.
I don't understand how it works.
Looking at Stokes' rig there, where he uses that supple section off of the cog, that's effectively that piece there is the rope to hang 'em, isn't it? Basically.
Yeah. So you extend that to 4 inches, right?
Yeah.
When the fish sucks it up, it can only move an inch. Can't it?
Yeah.
Whether that was 5 inches or 2 inches, it can still only move an inch into the mouth. So I don't understand how it makes a difference.
Yeah. Well, Dan's argument throughout it, wasn't it, was that the fact that they were feeding with their mouths hard on the bottom. Yeah. So it didn't really make a difference. His argument when he was getting passionate with Rossiter in there and arguing about rig length was the fact that if they're feeding hard on the bottom with their mouths, what difference does it make? 'Cause if it gets to it, it hasn't got to move at all. It's just going straight in. So it's
like I said in the film as well. I know I did take an inch off the rig and I did end up catching a few, but I don't think that is the be all in it. Something changed in them carp's behaviour on that day that I caught them. If you watch the footage back, obviously I watched it again last night, and when the carp were feeding and doing us earlier in the week, they were very picky. You know, they weren't homing in on the hook baits. If they did pick up a hook bait, it was more by chance than anything, and it would literally be in their mouth. They'd sense that something was wrong, probably because of the weight of it or the big bit of metal hanging off it, and it would be out in a split second. You know, I don't care how long or short your rig was, it was in and out before they was ever tightening to the lead.
That's why that first one with the little pink topper on it didn't. When I went in and I got done, it's like it didn't even really go in its mouth.
They're literally it's going in their lips. Split second, it's straight up. The day that I caught them 3 on the bounce, they wanted it. They wanted that pink. They were homing in on it. They were committed to it. And part of me thinks whatever you'd have had on the end, you'd have ended up catching a couple. You know. So obviously we do learn, you know, these little things we pick up do make little differences, you know, things like the shot on the hook and that, they're all little percentages that stack them odds in your favour, but you know, there's a reason why some days we catch a load and other days we struggle. Yeah,
definitely. I think it's weather conditions mainly on there.
Definitely.
I think we had one day of it being good weather, and I think you had one. I think
the last day of the
first. Is that when you caught 3?
Yeah.
And you
the weather
made
was
the most of it.
perfect.
Yeah.
Like you say, I think the huge difference is obviously things when you can tell it's made a difference are on those days, like you say, where it's really hard and they're not really having it, and you get 2 chances throughout the day. Obviously, they're the ones you need to convert.
And that's why that's when you don't want a lot of bait out.
No.
You want on them days when it's like it feels like it's not on. You use a small amount of bait and a decent hook bait.
Thing is as well, I mean, I think it was mentioned in the film, like nearly every morning, apart from at the start of the shoot, our bait was all gone off the spots. Other than obviously Dan's at the start of the shoot. If we'd have been fishing that in a normal session, we'd have probably had bites every single night. And we'd have thought, what a great trip, these rigs are fantastic, you know. But because of this, we're just trying to fish for them little windows of opportunity and putting the rigs out at prime time. It does make it incredibly difficult.
Yeah. Well, one thing I took from it as well, every time I do the underwater, is how well they feed on dusk. But I never tend to get bites on dusk. But then I always think I'm almost always recasting. So recently I've been recasting. I've been not putting sharpened points, and I've been putting normal points on so I can leave them longer out there. And I've been doing my rods at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon instead of right at the thing. So that I'm actually getting that feeding time. I still haven't caught one at dusk.
Backed it up with.
No. No, actually, I've had one bite at dusk.
Right. That's not the one you're crying about at the beginning.
No, it's not that one. No.
Okay.
But
he wasn't crying, was he?
He was crying, yeah. When he came in this morning.
No, actually, I did. Burners the other week, I had one right on dusk because I'd redone them at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon and just left them. Whereas normally I'd be recasting, but it was almost like dusk is almost as good as first light in the morning on them things. But it just doesn't feel like it in real life. Which is weird.
In your own fishing, dusk is never, apart like maybe winter, early spring, dusk can be a good time. But on the whole, it's never a great time to catch them, is it? But you are right, on them underwaters, it looked fantastic.
Well, they're just always feeding hard, and you're like, I'll never get bites now. But are you always recasting before?
Not really.
What time do you recast?
Depending on the weather, you know, usually just as the wind dies down on an evening, like sort of, I don't know, depends on the time of the year, doesn't it? But I generally like to get everything out and settled sort of late afternoon, you know, 3 to 5.
That's interesting. And how long do you leave them out for?
Till the flipping same time the next day, unless I've caught
till
one.
Till Thursday.
just a couple of days.
All right. When do you do yours?
Same.
2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon?
Yeah, I want them settled.
Yeah, I like to have everything out, settled, and then sit down, cook my evening meal, just relax in the evening. I don't want to have that like worry of having to get everything out late.
No, I hear you, but you're not thinking though that first light is, or 3, 4, 5, 6 in the morning is absolute primo. And that you'd rather everything slightly fresher by that time, because do you not use sharpened hooks?
Yeah, but
2 hours ain't going to make any difference, is it?
No.
Well, it's not 2 hours though, is it? 10. It gets dark at 9 or 10 o'clock in the evening. If you're putting them out at 3, that's 7 hours.
I'm happy to have my rods out for 24 hours.
I'm
an excellent
saying,
driver.
like, if you're doing it 3, 4 o'clock, rather than 6 o'clock.
No, I do them at 9:30.
Oh right, no, I don't do that.
9:30 at night?
Yeah, I'll do them just on dusk.
No way, I'm getting ready for bed then.
I'm actually doing, at the moment, because I'm fishing on the river, like I'm getting there I'm only really doing at the moment, time-wise, I'm getting the night and a bit of the next day. So a few of the times I've got there, I've managed to get there earlier, but I'm actually like not getting my rods out. I'm leaving it as long as possible before I get them out. 2 reasons. One is obviously there's crayfish and that in there. I'm trying to maximise the time my hook baits are good. But also all my bites have come at majority of my bites have come like really early in the morning, like just before it gets light. So I'm like, it's almost like I feel like I don't need to be fishing almost, like for that period. I like leaving it just resting, sitting there, and I'll get them out right on the depth, and I know they're set perfect for 4 or 5 hours time. So it is. I think everyone has had different ways of getting their rods out.
I'm going to copy these two now.
Obviously, there is certain times, like if the birds are being a problem or if crayfish are an issue, I will push it as late as possible, like you say, to keep it fresh. But if you're just in a normal fishing situation, I mean, I've caught fish on rigs that have been out 2-3 days plenty of times.
I have as well, but I
obviously
prefer
with unsharpened hooks.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to leave even a Kamakura out there at least 24 hours. You know, I sort of have that 24-hour reset. And generally, 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon, unless it's winter and it's going dark earlier, but 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon, that's the sort of time I'll be like, right, I'm going to wind in, freshen them all up, get them all out there perfect, and then you sit back, they're all out there lovely. You sit back, get your tea on, have a beer, enjoy the evening.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I think there's a slight difference, I think, in the amount of in the type of fish we're fishing for and how many fish we're fishing for as well at the minute. Certainly.
Just you were quite there, Dame, on rig length. Is that something you mess about with, or have you just got a standard and you won't deviate?
Do you know what? When I was fishing the weekend, I thought pressured lake. I'm going to use what I used on the underwater film, Sweetman Tree. Put that out there. And I caught one on it, but then I thought, no, just take it off, put what you normally put on, and caught two. It's confidence, isn't it? I just rarely change. You know, I'll have a bottom bait or a pop up, and I just use what I know works.
Which is 5.5 inches, then?
Yeah, 5.5 inches, 6 inches sometimes. 5.5 to 6 inches of like a boom material.
Here he is, look.
There you go.
Oh, celebrity little. He's dropped that in there, hasn't he? We're looking at a picture of Damo and David Seaman. Look at that.
Yeah, we had a
seriously.
it was a charity do at Linear Fisheries. Dave heads up that fishery, the fishing thing for Willow, which is a charity, a really good charity for people with serious illnesses. They sort of like a make-a-wish thing for kids between 16 and 40, so in your prime of your life. So yeah, Dave's done it a couple of times now. They raise a lot of money for that charity, which is Bob Wilson, who's an ex-Arsenal goalkeeper and was Dave's coach, I think, at the time, who lost his daughter at 23 from cancer. So it's like a ongoing legacy to her. He set this charity up, and it helps, you know, thousands of people every year.
Amazing.
Nice. There was loads of anglers there as well, weren't there? Who was there?
There's about 40 anglers, paying anglers, I think, as well as Maker, Carl Smith, and Scott Lloyd.
Did they catch any?
Yeah, they all called. Yeah, Carl was so chuffed. He had 2 14-pound brains. He was buzzing like a fridge. No, it was wicked. That was really good, really well organised. Yeah, hats off to them.
Nice. Loves his fishing, Seaman, doesn't he?
He loves it, mate.
He's always fishing. Yeah.
Yeah, he was getting fanboyed by all the people walking around. Can I have a photo for my grandson? It's like
they don't care.
They don't care. No.
You do.
None of those moments where can I get a photo? Not with you. I love the podcast. Get near that.
Who's that big guy?
Yeah.
What did you catch? And you caught 3?
I had a couple of 20s and a 31, and I think there was about 3 or 4 30s. Caught some catfish. There's 100-pound catfish in that lake.
God.
You don't want to hook that on a carp rod, do you?
No.
On a zig anyway.
Maker was actually telling me stories about them catfish, and obviously they just take everyone's rods out.
Yeah.
Like people hook them and they just go around like in the middle of the night, just wiping everybody out around the pond.
Proper nightmare.
Disaster.
That was good.
Yeah, excellent. Well, we might as well stay on that then, because Tom, you've been out fishing. We know what Damo's been up to. You've been out fishing twice. One of them you can't talk about, and you've crying about.
No.
So we're not.
You're bullying me.
Yeah, no, we're not going to talk about that. Tom's caught a nice one from somewhere that he's not going to shout about. But he has been on a Burners social with some of the lads from design.
Yeah, we every year we try and. In fact, we didn't do one last year. We did the year before, I think.
That's an odd-looking thing.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? It's almost got a saddleback as well, similar to that other thing. But we went there. We did 3 nights. Sunday till Wednesday, and like I said, we did it with the lads in product, CAD and graphic design. Just go and have a bit of a social. We talk a little bit about product, but mainly just have a laugh, just to sort of catch up throughout the summer, because obviously everyone's here, there and everywhere. You don't really get to see each other that much. I think we had 26 or 27 fish between us. Pal Pashley, King Pashley, he caught the most. I think he caught 6 or 7.
He catches them.
He gets them, old Pashley.
We need to get him on here, don't we?
Yeah, he said actually before he'd love to come on here.
It's so the talking now. I couldn't deal with the old. He'd just absolutely take over, wouldn't he?
Yeah, he would hate to come on here.
Yeah, he would.
I think he caught 6 or 7 out of swim 2. I caught nothing for the first 36 hours, and I moved and then caught two actually the final afternoon, like a 27 and a 30 pound common, I think. Wolfie though had a PB of 44 pound common. Have you got that picture up there?
I don't think we have we? I
I did send
we got
it.
Wolfies?
It's only like a picture of the back of the camera, but there are. Do you know how many 40 pounders are in Burners at the right time of the year?
Go on.
Guess.
50.
60.
No.
Jesus.
60 40s.
Wow.
And I think one that definitely does 50. I think 2 or 3 that might do as well. I mean, it's like a farm reservoir, so it's not like the most picturesque lake ever, but essentially it's a super water.
Yeah.
Like 60 40s.
It's ridiculous.
That's
incredible.
insane.
Perfect storm though, isn't it? It's banged out majority of the year.
Yeah.
Pit sees loads of bait.
Yeah.
Big open pit, isn't it? So
Yeah, I mean
loads of
that
wind.
common's lovely as well. They're really lovely carp in there as
Yeah,
well. I know
they
the
are.
one eyed looked a little bit strange, but the fish, the big ones in there are absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
So yeah, we did that last week. It was great fun. I fished Raisbury a couple of weeks before that and caught a couple.
Nice.
But yeah, just a little bit of summer fishing. It's been nice.
Yeah, lovely.
Mm.
We can't talk about that one.
What?
You can't talk about that one, mate. It's all right. Talk about another time.
I'm not talking about it.
No.
But are you going to talk about your fish?
Yeah, you can talk about my fish. Yeah, I've had another nice one out the river. I haven't been able to go midweek last couple of weeks. I think I mentioned it on the last one. So I went last week.
He's got a blind eye.
Blind eye that side, yeah. Do you know it had the most mint mouth? It was unreal.
Really?
Like it literally looks like it's been through God knows how many wars, but its mouth was absolutely perfect.
The old Himalayan salt lick in the corner there.
Oh yeah, someone else spotted that. I've been dumping one of them each time I go on. So it's just when I get on there's so much time. Obviously, when you're on the boat, you end up like there's nowhere you can go. You can't do anything. So you end up getting all really organised. I've always put that there ready to go in, and got the bait one side and that. So
I love the pictures in the boat.
Yeah, they're cool, aren't
So
they?
good.
Yeah, I think it's good. Obviously, you can keep where you're fishing a little bit more quiet, and you can do everything in that confined space. So
Cracking. You're going to catch a big one soon, aren't you? Is that another 29, wasn't it?
yeah, I mean, I've had three 29s now.
Right.
I was convinced that was because I netted that it was still
bigger.
darkish, and I was just like, there it is, there it is, 31, 32s.
But they pull hard, doesn't it?
Oh, unreal. Yeah. That was you talking about, because you were saying about the cranks before.
Yeah.
Like, that was so hard to get out. I actually had to pull the sack over its eyes and go get my forceps.
Right.
It literally gone in, and like I could have played it for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But it's really hit and hold stuff like that particular spot. But yeah, I went up the Sunday before. Probably a bad move that was, travelling up there on a Sunday. It took me about 5.5 hours round trip. Yeah. But when it pays off, you don't care, do you?
No.
It was quite good.
Are you still getting pretty much one a trip?
Yeah, I've had what have I had? So I blanked on the opening night of the season and then caught on the second night. That's the only session I've done 2 nights.
Right.
Every other time I've baited up in the week and then gone back for a single night. I've had one blank.
Right,
So I've nicked
good.
one each time I've gone, which is and they're all different. Like, I'm not having any repeats
That's
as well,
bad
which
as
is
well.
Are
exciting.
you fishing the same spot then?
No, I've got two different spots. I've had fish from 2 different spots.
Nice. Lovely calf.
Yeah, they are lovely. They're really nice. I've had, we've not shared them all, but we'll no doubt in one podcast a bit later in the year we'll have a look at a bit more detail. But I'm sitting there just like so convinced there's some big ones in there. Like I just think every time I hook one of them, you don't really know. And because I'm catching them, it's sort of half light bite time most of the time. You're almost like everything's really panicky at first because you've got to get out your sleeping bag, get the rod, and you're on braid. It's all a bit. The other rods are there, and it's all a bit. And then once you're under control and it's beasted you a little bit, then your mind just starts going, could be, and you think one day it's going to come up. It's going to be saying,
Yeah.
it's ridiculous. Yeah, I think so. But yeah, really, really good. I'm absolutely loving it.
So good.
I filled it in again, and I should go back probably Thursday, I reckon.
Right. What are you putting out?
20 mil. I'm using shelf life, 20 mil cell.
Right.
Plenty of tigers.
Well, how come you're using shelf life?
Just because I think I haven't got to worry about getting out of the freezer. If I've got it in the van. If I can just go and bait up, I can just go and bait up.
Yeah.
I've been putting in some freezer. I haven't just put in shelf life,
Right.
but because the 20 mil as well, the main line is only available in 20 mil in the shelf life. I think it only goes up to 18 in freezer.
Right.
So obviously, I've had some other baits made up that are bigger, which I've been feeding as well. But mainly my feed bait has been 20 mil. Shelf life and tigers,
Nice.
but they've been mowing it down. That's for sure.
So good.
Yeah, it's good. What about you, Tom? What's the plans for the next foreseeable?
I ain't really got any plans, to be honest. I'm off this week to Junction 12 for a couple of nights. Just a bit of pleasure fishing, really. Week after we've got the Contender, haven't we?
Yeah.
Week after that, I'm on holiday. I'm in Greece for the week. I've got a trip to Tros Hills planned with Dan, start of September. But in terms of my own fishing, I don't really know. I've not made a decision. Like, I'm having a bit of a break at the minute. I will fish. I always fish every week somewhere. But
what tickets have you got then?
I've got that Fast and Big Lake ticket.
Okay.
Might do a few trips on there because my fishing's quite broken up for the next month or so. I've not actually been there yet, but because it's got a decent stock of carp, couple of big ones to go at, it's the sort of lake that to me you could just turn up for a random trip 2 or 3 nights and have a chance at catching a few. A lot of my other tickets, you need a bit of time. You need to work towards something. Like I have a few trips on the bounce, and I just haven't got that the next 6 weeks or so. So might have a go on that Baston Big Lake.
When you say Baston Big Lake, you mean the embryo?
The embryo one, yeah.
Because Jay and Miller are catching loads. They caught loads the last couple of weeks.
Have you got a midweek or weekend rota?
Midweek.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we'll see. But I can see myself doing a few trips up there, sort of this back end of the summer. Not sure about what to do for the autumn. If I go up there and enjoy it, I might stick it out.
Some big ones in there.
September, October, there is, and that big mirror is a flipping great carp. So
comes out as well, doesn't it?
Comes out.
It does,
and it's only getting bigger, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a monster. What about you, Tom? What are you up to next few weeks?
Mate, I've got the same. I've got nothing this week.
Then Contender.
Probably Raisbury at the end of this week for a night or two. Then Contender. Then I'm filming the week after. Then back to Raisbury. So
nice.
yeah, I've got it's the same. We've got filming in that the next few weeks. I'll do a few nights over Raisbury here and there, but I haven't got any weeks that I can put any time together at the minute. I will at the back end of August, early September. Then I've got Gigantica trip. Then I've got a Shantico trip. So there's loads going on.
Yeah, you looking forward to Contender, Damo?
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see with the kids, wouldn't it? Like see the standard and.
Yeah,
I'm sure there'll be some good lads there.
I love to think you fast forward 10 years and someone who was on that is like doing big things within the company and one of the main sponsored anglers. Yeah,
well, that's the plan.
Yeah.
Hopefully it is
legacy.
We don't get to meet the kids that are doing it anymore. And to be honest, we were a little bit we were really surprised on how many kids tried to enter to it. So it's good for the future of carp fishing that they are out there and the kids want to do that sort of thing. There's a hunger for it. And hopefully we bump into some really good kids that good in front of the camera, good anglers, polite, well-rounded kids. I think then that's the future of the company, isn't it? We're all getting up, even I'm getting old now. Like we need some youngsters around.
I was thinking that the other day, like with it's a good point you raised there about being good on camera. I think nowadays where sort of life is like it is and everything's social media and these people are doing a lot more to camera for social media and stuff like that. I think naturally these people that come through are just going to have more confidence in that sort of area, aren't they, than where we were kids.
A lot of kids are growing up doing it already, with their own social medias and that.
Like we all had to learn it, didn't we? Like, like you didn't even have to start with. You didn't have phones that could reverse back on yourself and stuff. So all of a sudden now,
they have got to be good at fishing first though, and I do think fishing attracts quieter people that aren't necessarily good in front of the camera. So it's quite difficult, I think, to find the people that are really good anglers that have spent a lot of time on their own, but essentially, and are also really good in front of the camera. Yeah. So it's it's hard to find the people. But I'd rather them be first very, very good at fishing and sort of okay in front of the camera, and they can learn that, than somebody that's super presentery and really good in front of the camera but can't, tie a knot. It's not. So it's
a Spooner sort of thing.
It's like Spooner, yeah. That's
why he's not here. Got to take advantage of
go have a game. So but really looking forward to it, mate. I think everyone is. Loads of us going. You're going, Stokesy. You're going. I think Cole Smith, Maker, all the big boys.
Mega. Yeah. Right. Well, before we finish, one thing I'm just going to quickly mention is we done a giveaway for the Kaizen line, which launched. Where are we now? So we're going to be. This podcast will be 2 weeks ago now, or ish, wasn't it?
Yep.
When that was launched. Amazing feedback, by the way. Thanks to everybody that got involved in our little mini comp on YouTube for the podcast. We obviously said we were going to pick some winners. Originally, when we first did it, we said we'll pick 10 people at random, but so many people got involved. I think you've just said this morning, Tom, we'll pick 30 people out at random and send them some Kaizen lines so they can get their spools done. But
100%.
Loads of people have been using it and the feedback's been unreal, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really good.
So pleased about that. So we'll get them done, get them out to you. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you know when the next one's live, and we'll see you next time.
Cheers, boys.
Cheers, boys.
Yeah.